Today, I'm going to rank all 5 rulers and show you the best in-game strategy for each one. As for the best in-game strategy for the Goblin Queen, all you need to do is just get kills and just get merges. It's very simple. I'm not going to actually play her because I don't really want to throw my elo. I just don't think there's a single reason to use the Goblin Queen over the other rulers. As for the best strategy for the Goblin Queen, all you need to do is just try to go for kills, get those goblins, get merges. It's very simple. I'm not actually going to play a game with her because I would literally just be throwing my elo. That's how bad she is. There is not a single reason to use the Goblin Queen over the other 4 rulers on the list. Coming in at 4th place, we have the brand new Battle Machine ruler. Now, there are 2 main reasons why I think the Battle Machine is not as good as the other 3 rulers. The first is that I just don't think the buildings are very good. Of course, the Battle Machine is going to be dependent on how good the buildings are because the buildings are his entire ability. I just don't think any of the buildings are good. I mean, the Tessa, his range is too short. It doesn't get that much value in any scenario, really. The pump is also just not very valuable when it's a low star, and even at a high star, I mean, you just don't really want to get a 3 or 4 star pump in the late game. The mortar is also not that good. I mean, it's decent, but it misses most of the time. I feel like it misses a lot. The Expo is the only really good building in my opinion, but even that's a bit inconsistent, right? It takes so long to charge up. In some rounds, you don't even have the Expo going off, but when in rounds that it actually does go off, it gets a lot of value. And the Inferno Tower is kind of okay, like it's pretty good, but it's not like broken. So all 5 buildings are not too valuable, which kind of directly make the Battle Machine not too good either. And the buildings are so RNG based, like you can either get like a 4-star pump, which is terrible, or like a 4-star Expo or Inferno Tower, which is good. So it's really luck based. And I feel like the Battle Machine just kind of equally meh in all stages of the game. In the early stage, obviously, it's really based on the building. I say in round 1, the Battle Machine can be decent because that building actually kind of does make an impact. But from that point on to the rest of the game, those buildings are just not powerful enough to really make a difference. And even the 4-star building you get in the late game doesn't make a difference when you're facing like a fully 3-star comp. So I just don't think the Battle Machine is a good ruler right now. I think you can definitely get away with using him in the medium ranks because the players you face there will not really know what they're doing. So if you use the Battle Machine well, you could beat those players. But in the high ranks, where you're facing a lot of looms, empresses, and kings who actually know what they're doing, you're going to have a tough time. As for the strategy though, I still will show it because this is the only free ruler you can actually unlock. So we start out with the 2-star prince. I'm just going to go for the prince, I would say. Possibly we can 3-star this guy. But let's put the expo here and let's go for the double prince right now. So basically the strat you want to do with the battle machine is just try to stall until you get those buildings and hope you get good buildings. It's sort of like a prey sort of mentality. But yeah, again, it's very RNG based. Like, he has the Inferno Tower, that's why he wins. My Expo does not do a single thing in that round. So we do want to try to get goblins though, so we can farm some elixir. So let's do this. We also get a 3-star prince, which is very good. But what you should be doing with your buildings is utilizing them sort of half defense, half offense. So as you can see here, I'm kind of using my Expo to tank for my princess. So worst case, if they breach my front line, then my most powerful range units are sheltered a bit from their troops. So as you can see here, the Expo is sort of tanking for that princess, allowing her to survive, and that P.E.K.K.A just cannot touch the princess. Your comms are a bit more limited, so you have to be careful. Let's get that prince, and again, we get a pump, which is not the best, but I'm probably just going to block off the princess here. Actually, I might do that, and I might put another building next to the princess here. Another building that I actually kind of want to protect more, but as you can see here, our princess is getting a lot of splash. One of the best strats, in my opinion, that you can use with the battle machine is just to shelter either the princess or the witch behind one of these buildings here, because as you can see, even a 1-star princess is going crazy right now with that shelter. So I think princess is one of the best cards that you can go for with the battle machine. Okay, so this comp is pretty good. You're gonna have more limited comps because of the 5 troops that you get. However, the strategy, what I'm doing right now is I'm just waiting for that 3rd building that I'm gonna get in the 5th round. So you get a building on rounds 1, 3, 5, and 8. So all you really need to do is just try to stall for at least that 5th round building. And if you get the 8th round building, that is even better. Perfect. We get a 3-star Inferno Tower. That's really good. With the Inferno Tower, you generally want to place it a bit higher up. So we're going to place that Inferno Tower a bit on the high up side because we do want it to tank as well. It is a 3-star. It can help protect the rest of our troops. But you don't want to place it in the very first lane, in my opinion, because it's just going to die too quickly. But look at that princess. The princess is just one of the best cards that you can go for with the battle machine because you can have the buildings shielded. And it also gets so much value against other battle machines because of its splash damage. Let's merge and sell this. Let's go for the Skelly Drags again. Let's get the Dark Goblin, and I probably will upgrade the Princess, one of the best cards you should go for. But the Battle Machine does work pretty well right now because we are against another Battle Machine. So we just need our Princess to get a lot of value here. It does take out the buildings in the far back. You don't want to clump up your buildings too much like that because if you're facing enemy princesses, which are meta, then you could lose. But that is the best battle machine strategy to use if you are going to be running this ruler. In third place, we have the Elixir loom. Now, I did think about this a lot, but the current relationship between the top 3 rulers right now is rock, paper, scissors, as a lot of people have explained, which is why I find it so hard to rank the top 3 because I don't think they're necessarily better than each other. I just think that it's really based on the current meta and which rulers are being largely used. So what I mean by this is that the loom does counter the empress because the loom players have such a good early game advantage and they can easily knock out the empress players before they get that late game advantage with their elixir. But on the flip side, the king actually counters the loom because the kings can actually get the early game advantage on their favor because all they need to do is lose like 2 rounds and they get so much elixir early game they can just outlast the other looms very easily and at least get a second place. But the empresses actually counter the kings because the kings obviously want to lose early game, allowing the empress players to survive to the late game and just completely destroy the kings with their late game comps. So it creates this interesting relationship of rock, paper, scissors between the top 3 rulers, which is why I don't think their rulers are necessarily better than each other. But the reason I'm putting Loom at third is because currently I think there are just so many kings being used. I think maybe my last video had some sort of impact on that, but I've just been noticing so many kings being used at the top of the leaderboard where it's just a bit oppressive for the Loom to face. But of course, just a few days ago, I would rank the Loom much higher because there are more empresses and less kings. So it really depends on which rulers are being used the most. If you're facing a lot of empresses, then the loom is going to be at the top. If you're facing a lot of kings, then the loom might not be as powerful. But as for the loom's strengths, of course, he has that +1 team size, which is so good early game. You can just last so much longer in the early game, but you might have that sort of late game disadvantage against some of the other rulers who can generate more elixir. But the pro with the loom is you're going to knock them out most of the time before they can even get to that point. And that +1 elixir per round might not seem like a lot, but it really goes a long way and it stacks up. So the strategy with the loom is just to try to last in the early game and get goblins. So let's grab the dark goblin here and let's actually upgrade this wizard. But you really just want to try to terrorize people in the early game. Just try to outlast the other rulers here. And unfortunately, I think we're going to lose against double clan. It's just, I would say the loom is just pretty luck-based ruler. I mean, in individual games. But if we can last, that's crazy. So we actually tie. So let's buy the wizard here and let's try to go for double goblins. This is perfect. As you can see with the loom, there's not too much outplay potential, but if you just spam games, make the right decisions, you'll slowly start to climb. You want to go for a lot of the cheap cards as well as goblins. So clan, blasters, brawlers all work very well with the loom. So let's upgrade this. Let's try to go for, okay, we get a 3-star. That's actually really good. Let's get the Valkyrie here for the clan buff. And I'm actually going to try to go for Rangers here. I feel like that would be really good. Okay, so I'm just going to try to build around this 3-star Dark Goblin. This is a very good start. But yeah, basically, you're just going to go for goblins early. Try to farm those goblins gradually, as well as just try to outlast the other players in the early game here. So hopefully, I think we are going to win the round because of the last stand, which is so good. So let's try to build around our strengths here and go for the Rangers if we can. I think I'll probably go for the mini P.E.K.K.A right now. All right, so we are up against a king player. I think we probably do win this. We have the Rangers comp now. And yeah, very simple strategy, I would say, to use. The loom is just a really consistent ruler if you want to climb. He's always just going to be very good to play. And we are going to take that victory. Okay, we do get a merge, so maybe it's possible for us to get a 3-star or 4-star dart. With this ruler, you won't do as much cycling as you would with the Empress, but of course, you just try to want to build with what you get. And if you want to cycle in the mid to late game, of course, you could definitely do that. But now we're in a 1v1 against the king. I don't know if we're going to win this, as I mentioned, because the king actually does a really good job against the loom, but I'm still going to try my best. So I'm just going to try going for this 4-star Dark Goblin. I think it'd really help. We also have a lot of HP, but we are up against a king player who probably has gotten a lot more elixir than us, so we're going to lose this round, but I'm really praying that we get this goblin, this Dark Goblin next. Okay, unfortunately, we don't get it. A bit unlucky, but I'm just going to try to cycle here then with what we can. Let's go for this maybe 4 Brutalist comp, I would say. All right. So I did do a bit of cycling, try to upgrade my comp, but unfortunately not. We probably do lose this. So the loom, again, this is why I'm only putting the loom at 3, because there's so many kings right now. There's even 2 kings in my lobbies currently in the top 50. So the loom is struggling a bit against the kings, but other than that, against other rulers, the loom does a great job. Coming in at the number 2 spot, we have the Royale King. The king recently got a buff from only giving 4 elixir per loss to now 4 to 8, which doesn't seem like a huge difference, but it's actually huge because you consistently get so much more elixir every single round. And in the past, where with the king, you really couldn't get too many 3-stars, Now, if you lose a certain number of times and get a bit lucky with the amount of elixir you get, you can actually max out a lot of comps. And what makes the king especially good is that he's super consistent. All you need to do is lose maybe 3 rounds and you get so much elixir. I think you get 12 to 24 elixir if you just lose 3 times, which you can do literally every game. So you don't need to really rely on luck as much as you would with other rulers like the loom and the empress, because you consistently just get a pretty sizable amount of elixir. Now, I know I put the king at number 1 in earlier videos, but the reason I'm putting him at number 2 in this video is because, again, as I mentioned, as I was talking about the loom, the current meta is really rock, paper, scissors based. So because there's so many more kings now, the king is not as oppressive, because when I made those early videos putting the king at number 1, it's because there were so many looms, so the king naturally was just a top predator. But now that there's so many more kings being played, the playing field's a bit more leveled out, and now that Empress players are recognizing that there's more kings, they're actually starting to switch back to the Empress, which of course counters the king. So now the king is a bit worse off in the meta because of how popular he has become. But overall, he's still a phenomenal ruler, and it's especially good that you can unlock him for free. So you can climb to diamond with this ruler for free and be at a huge, or not even a disadvantage. So the strategy with the king is to try to lose the first 2 rounds, or at least the first 1 round. But you always do want to try to go for the double goblins if you can. That is the most important trait, especially with the king, I would say. So you just want to try to take minimal damage while losing. So let's go for this dark goblin. Hopefully we get a lot of elixir. 5 elixir, a bit on the lower side, but that should be fine. What I might do here is just try to take another loss. I usually just like taking 2 losses if I can, because we are going to get a huge elixir lead, and I feel like elixir is just super important in the early game, because you want to have elixir early on to take the cards that you actually want. So I like going for the brawlers, so let's do that. We get 6 elixir. Not too bad, I guess. So let's sell these other cards. Let's go for the P.E.K.K.A. And now we need the Barbarian and the Mega Knight. I'll probably sell the P.E.K.K.A. again, just to see what we get. Hopefully we actually get a Barb and a Mega Knight here. We get a Barb. Now, all we need is the Mega Knight, so this is actually really good. Let's upgrade the Prince here, and let's just go for something like this. And I actually think the full Brawlers is probably the best comp to use with the King, because, number 1, it's very cheap, but it's also very effective. You have the Barbarian, which is 2 elixir, the Prince and the P.E.K.K.A., which are both 3, and you have the Mega Knight, which is 4 elixir. A bit unlucky that we don't take out the Spear Goblin, I guess, but this guy's going to be on 1 HP. Let's go for the Spear Goblin here, and then we could probably sell and just try to go for something good. We do upgrade that. So I would say the best comps you want to go for with the King is definitely full Brawler. Full Clan is also very good, so that Barbarian is going to be one of the best troops because it's in Clan and Brawler. And you could also go Superstars. Worst case, Superstars is a bit more expensive. However, it's just still very busted. But your goal with the King is just to try to farm those 2nd place finishes. So let's just try to cycle for a bit of a stronger comp here, and let's try to go for at least a 2nd. So we are against a Loom player right now. Our Princess is gonna get insane value. The King is actually really good against the Loom, as I mentioned, because the Loom is basically just trying to survive early game. If he doesn't get past the early game, then he's going to be in a bit of a bad scenario. So we're going to actually put him on 1 HP, which is really good. But yeah, the King does really good against the Loom, so I'm just going to try to upgrade the cards. Again, our goal here is guaranteed top 2 at least, and we should just be in a good spot here. I do have a feeling he's going to switch his Queen, so I mean, I'm just going to guess, and let's do this. Hopefully the Prince, actually does switch it. He does switch the Queen, so hopefully the Prince actually goes for it. Unfortunately, not. It's a bit unlucky. I did call it, though, but our Princess is going to get some value on that first Queen. And again, the Brawler's comp is so good. I'm not sure if we're going to win, but we're at least going to put up an insane fight, because this comp just does not die, and it's so cheap as well. The Dark Goblin is going insane. This is going to be such a close match, but the biggest tip I have here, guys, is we're going to lose. But don't be afraid of losing, because you're going to get 4 to 8 elixir in the next round. That's a big reason why the King is just so good now. Another tip is that when you're facing the dead guy, because elixir is so important with the King, just throw in 2 goblins and get a free goblin trade. You could also try to take a strategic loss against the dead player, just to try to get a bit more elixir. So the King, you just need to be a bit smarter about the elixir you get, because it's not infinite like it is with the Spirit Empress. So now we're left in a 1v1. I'm just going to sell these cards and try to get a bit more upgraded cards if we can. We do 3-star the Executioner, which is so good, but now I'm just going to try to block the Archer Queen if I can, because I think he does have it. Yeah, he does have it, so we're going to try to block the Queen and also max out the P.E.K.K.A. if we possibly can. We do max out the P.E.K.K.A. That is super good. This is a huge reason why the King is so strong, because you just consistently get so much elixir. This comp is so good. Our Xe gets a beautiful snipe. The P.E.K.K.A. walks on the Dark Goblin. And just like that, guys, we are going to get a guaranteed top 1 with the King. Meaning that the number one ruler in merge tactics is the Spirit Empress. The Spirit Empress is the best ruler for two big reasons. The first is that her ability is just the most broken. You get +1 elixir per merge, meaning that you can theoretically get infinite elixir throughout the entire game. Meaning that if you're quick enough and the luck permits, you could actually get all the elixir that a king player would get in an entire game in one single round. But of course, the key phrase is if luck permits. That's why the Spirit Empress is the most luck-based ruler in my opinion, because some games you just get unplayable RNG. However, even if you get unplayable RNG in one or a few games or even a few hours in a row, if you spam, let's say 100 to a few hundred games, the luck will even out over time, so it is still skill based. However, I know I did put the Spirit Empress at a bit of a lower position in previous videos, but the reason the Empress is number one today is because there are more kings, and the Empress naturally counters the king because the Empress player's biggest flaw is that she was weak early game, but the king actually sacks games in the early game, giving the Empress free time to actually survive and build up and get to that late game phase where she is the strongest because of her ability. So because there's more kings now, that makes the Empress a lot better. The Empress is a lot more viable now, especially now that the season currently has two less cards than the previous season and has more modifiers where you start out with free elixirs. So that does lower the RNG a bit. But if the loom was more popular right now, then the Empress would be lower on the list. But because the king is more popular, that's the reason the Empress is currently number one in my opinion. But the strategy for the Spirit Empress is just to buy cheap until you get merges and then sell those merges to keep your elixir generation going. You should also always try to go for goblins because it does give you 2 elixir in the beginning, which is huge for the Empress because she doesn't actually get any guaranteed elixir like all the rulers like the king and the loom do. So let's just buy cheaper, try to get merges if we can, and then sell those merges, I would say, right after. This is actually a really good start here. Let's do this, and let's just keep cycling. This is actually really good. You can get infinite elixir like this, which is why the Spirit Empress is just so powerful. But you do want to try to end off the round with a good comp like that, just so you try to preserve HP. You don't really want to intentionally take any losses with the Spirit Empress as you would with maybe the King, for example. So we should definitely just try to preserve HP here. The early game is so important for the Empress. So let's just keep on cycling here until we get a decent comp, I would say. And then until we get infinite elixir, and then we can sort of let our comp generate naturally. I would say this is pretty natural. We get the queen and the barb, so let's just try going for full clan here. The last card that we need is Valkyrie. So let's just try to cycle, and then if we do get a Valkyrie, that's very nice. I'm going to sell this, and we're going to keep on cycling here. Hopefully get another barb upgrade if possible. Okay, nice. So we actually do get the full clan there. This game is all about speed when you're playing the Empress. In a lot of rounds, you're going to get your first merge in the final round, and you just need to go completely fast, and so that you can come back in one round here. This is definitely, I would say, the most skill-based ruler in my opinion because you have to know all the comps so that you can go for them very fast. You actually have to buy the cards as well very quickly. So we do get full clan, and we are possibly going to knock this guy out. We do get a max archer queen, which is super good. Let's just keep cycling here. I think I'm going to go for the princess variant, so we could probably put in the princess. Actually, I might just keep cycling right now. But basically, after you get infinite elixir, all you want to do is just merge cards that you want. Merge cards. If it's a merge you want to keep, then just, if it's a merge in your comp, just keep it. If it's a merge you don't want to keep, then just sell it so that you can keep your infinite elixir going, and the cycle just continues. So we are going to get a guaranteed top 2, and what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to block. Blocking is super important here because he has a superstars comp. So we definitely just need to block those really broken cards that we do not want him to get. So the monk, we also want to block the musketeer, and the final superstar that we need, which is the electro giant. So let's just block the electro giant if possible. We do get the electro giant, and we block all 4 of the major superstars. So this is one of the best clan comps in the game in my opinion right now. We have clan plus prince and princess. Exi and Mega Knight is also very good with the clan, but we are going to take, I think we might actually lose this game unfortunately, but we still have 10 HP, which is really good. Our queen does ability. We are getting a lot of value. The thing with the Empress is she's super good late game, but she's just a bit bad in the early game. But if you do get those merges in the early game, then you are good to go. So this guy's Exi is healing a lot. The Executioner is just such an underrated card. You honestly can't do anything about that. Okay, so we actually do line up our queen. Hopefully this queen does take out the princess. Unfortunately though, he did place his princess right next to his RG, so our princess is actually going to get a lot of value. But yeah, the E-Giant is just too broken, man. They really got to nerf this comp, unfortunately. His comp is just a lot better than mine, so we are going to lose the game, but the Empress is definitely the best ruler.